Okay, good morning, Kurt. This is Veronica from Green Cup Design, answering your request for a free website analysis. You told me that the website is being redesigned right now and that you're more concerned with social media and SEO. And so I will go ahead and focus on that as much as possible. Something I do want to point out, though, right away is that having a box layout on the current site loses a lot of opportunity for this space to be used up. So your images could be bigger, they could be more beautiful and detailed. So I hope that that's being fixed. I presume it is because it's rather unpopular to have a box layout anymore. Um, I apologize for my notifications because it is the middle of the day and so a lot of it's coming in. Okay, so something I am pleased to see is that everything on here is pretty much clickable. I love highlights for these. So if you can see here, there's a highlight around the border, so I know that it truly is clickable. And clickable to different things because there's no if you could see here between the brackets and the vents, there's no change in my mouse. While here, there's a change because there's a space. So I would absolutely encourage you to consider putting some sort of highlight as you go around anything that's clickable on the front page. And that's a good user experience. You really want some sort of user feedback whenever they do something, otherwise they may not realize they're actually doing something. So okay, I like, sale, okay, I can see that. Good bright letters, but the buttons are in blue, which is awesome because that's the best. Blue or green are really the colors that you want for some sort of purchase or positive follow through. And so since your logo color is blue, that works really well. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and check out your specials. Now you indicated to me that this, and so, okay, so these up here don't change, and this is where I was looking, waiting for something to change. So again, that's just a little bit of a user experience issue. It's not critical, but it would be nice that maybe subcategories showed up here instead, or I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't looking, but if I wasn't looking and I'm a web designer, that might mean somebody else isn't looking too. Okay, so clearance items, cool. So if I wanted a wall niche, let's see what happens when I want to go to a wall niche. So these are the only two. So what happens when I go someplace and I want to see many things? So I want to see what the process is when there's a lot. Whoa, okay. So something right off the bat here is that some of these have borders around them and some of them don't. And I don't understand why, because their names are still clickable, but the image is suddenly not clickable. And it doesn't seem to be anything to do with whether or not there are many styles. And further, I would suggest not even having prices on here or having only a range rather than all of this. That's really overwhelming. Amazon, which has tons of products on a page, does something where they offer a starting at price, and that gets me every time personally. So I go to Amazon and I'm looking for the lowest cost item, and so I go click on that, and then I notice that the item that I want, that I've really set my heart to, is actually more money than the lesser version. But then I'm already stuck on that decision. Humans are very bad at making secondary decisions. So that might be an interesting way for you to raise sales and also simplify, because my goodness, this is just overwhelming. I'll see what columns looks like too. And then I'm going to go ahead and click into an actual product. Well, this is much more beautiful than when I was just looking at keystones. You've got a couple call outs for the main subjects. I'm assuming now that then this actually isn't too bad either because you've got some specs. So this layout isn't horrible. It's a little bit overwhelming because it's so without the box layout, you would have a lot more opportunity to have this sidebar still exist, but then you'd have more space here to create a real individual product page. And I think that would be really beautiful. I just redid my porch too, so I'm looking at this from a different angle as well. I want to go back to keystones because I was overwhelmed on this page. And so what happens when I click on this keystone? Because there's no add to cart here. So now we get into individuals type pages, which you've got a white background here, which you really don't need. I don't even know if you need the background around the keystone because you didn't have it before. This is really the title, I would say. This should be up here instead of K14M. Maybe the K14M could be underneath it. I don't know the significance of that. I'm assuming it's like a serial number. And then down here would be great, or cross out with bottom trim down here. So more of a description down here. But yeah, I really wish that some of that information on the front was just pulled back a little bit and then there was more information here. Kind of like the posts have, like I might click on this guy. The posts seem to have different options in a table. Yeah, so like why? So now I clicked on this and I'm only seeing one product. But when I was on Keystones, this particular one had many different options and serial numbers. So I guess I clicked on this picture and that was the first one. So, okay. See, that's really confusing as well. So I realize that you've been using Yahoo and that's extremely clunky for e-commerce. And, you know, so you're doing a redesign. So you're headed in the right direction. I just hope that you're taking a lot of this stuff in account because there's a lot of confusion going on this site, even with like the porch columns, which now I'm looking for it and there we go, columns. The image supersedes the border of your website, and so does a lot of this text. So things got kind of messy. Those are design issues again. So some of the other things I noticed was that when I look for your Google Analytics, it's not totally there. There's it looks like you're using redirection so that you can follow your sources of, you know, if you send out an e-blast or a Facebook message and it's specific to a page or a sale, so people come to your website, it gives you the chance to track where they're coming from, but it didn't look like you have Google Analytics, like the parent installed. So I would double check how that's going, and if you think I'm totally wrong, great, because you really need to have Google Analytics, of course, for an e-commerce page. But that was something that I was noticing. It looks like you have some really good programs that you're using, which, you know, we'll see how it goes once you have the redesign as well. But I appreciate the pin it button being everywhere. The issue is, I don't know if I would want to pin this whole page personally. I want to pin one thing, like this gorgeous gable trim. So okay, so I don't get to go directly to that. So I'm assuming it's going to be this. Now, again, we're not using names. See, I wish it was just like GDB That's not inspiring to me. I want the name to be something like Queen Anne style, because personally I own a Queen Anne style home. So maybe that's what I'm looking for. And so that makes me feel like, oh my God, this is perfect for my home. I've got to have it. You know, for some of the columns, you could call them colonial. For some of these corbels, I mean, these look very similar to the ones that are on my cousin's craftsman style house. And so I would really get away from using generic names. And if that's going to be confusing for your office, I would create a spreadsheet with the generic names coordinated with the fancy names that are on the website, because I think that you're missing and especially women, if they're shopping, that connection. For the correct roof pitch, if you're unsure. So, see, I don't know if this should be that long. I get that maybe for some optimization purposes, it's kind of nice to have gable decoration be stated over and over and over, but maybe what you really need people to be looking at is the pitch, which is this tiny little number in front. It's just the fraction. And so I was looking here at the words because I don't read numbers like I read words. I can skim. A document is so fast, but numbers mean nothing to me. And so had I not read this, I wouldn't have known what the heck is going on down here. So maybe at the very least, bold this and put it below the horizontal ruler so that my brain understands that this whole section pertains to that comment, and at least that might get us a little bit closer to ideal. But like I said, I would make the roof pitch comment at least a little bit bigger, and then somehow change these so that it's not just a wall of bullet points. And then I'm much more likely to pin this, but honestly, you can get a Pinterest plugin or widget API that says pin it when you hover over a specific image, and so it still connects the pinner to the whole page, but the image itself gets pinned. And that is a little bit more, like, that connects more to me at the very least. I appreciate that you have a house pin section as well. So yeah, maybe leave these in a prominent location on the site, but I would suggest the pin it be a little bit more experiential. When I hover over an image, it's asking me to pin it. Because without it changing ever, I'm way less likely to pin it. So if I were to be reading this and my hand would scroll over and then it would say pin it, I'd say, oh, that's a good idea. I should start a Pinterest board for all of the trims and millwork that I really want on my house. Because as of right now, this is a very strong call to action. I appreciate that these are easily usable and findable. I think that they really could go at the bottom of the page, and that depends on the type of website that you're going to have in the future. Because if you're going to have an infinite scroll for your e-commerce, don't put things like this at the bottom because people can never get to them. I have sat on my phone with infinite scroll. Groupon is extremely guilty of this. I need to find contact information, and I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and it's infinite scroll. I'm stubborn, so I try to beat it, but finally I just use Google to find the information I need instead, which is not a good user experience. I shouldn't have to go through a third party in order to get the information I need from you. Otherwise, I would say if your website is really, really long, then maybe consider keeping them up at the top. But otherwise, they can go to the bottom. They're secondary information, and people expect things like privacy policy and shipping policies to be at the bottom, so that's totally fine. FAQ, this is not a bad layout. Installation guidelines, I don't know that I would have expected them to be on this page. I actually didn't even know that you had installation guidelines. So I would suggest popping that out into a separate page. So I'd have 5 pages at the bottom. Or if you're going to do a header secondary menu, then maybe have those pages up there, but pages up there, and then maybe like social media icons as well as up there. I would pop that out because to me that's good to know, and I don't look at the FAQ typically when I'm making a purchase. Otherwise, the layout on here is not bad. Typically, I suggest using an accordion, but your FAQ is short and concise and to the point, and you use bolds and the Q's and the A's in a way that at a glance, I can see what's going on. So that's good. Let me go over here to product catalogs. I'm assuming as well, I don't recall, you said you're not moving to Magento, you're moving to BigCommerce. I'm hoping that you'll end up with prettier URLs than what you have right now, because the .html is kind of outdated for sure. Product catalog. So if I wanted a product catalog, I'm assuming this is who you source from. It's nice that it stays on your website URL. That's good. Okay. Well, that's nice. I really disadvise using Flash, but this is beautiful. So I don't know. Do note that any site that is Flash-based won't work on mobile, or may work intermittently on mobile now, depending on what service you use. So if somebody wants to try to look at these, they're not going to be able to. What I do appreciate is that they are a separate tab. So they're still technically a part of your website, but they tab out. So my only suggestion there is just to keep your header and menu on those pages so that I could get back. I did, of course, notice it was in a separate tab, and so I don't think that that's a huge problem. But keeping it branded is good because I think these are your suppliers, and it's nice to have your brand continue to follow through so that they don't start thinking about going just straight to the supplier. And I don't know if they can, but it's, you don't want to lose your business that way. So yeah, I'm just seeing the same thing, overflow, and this diagram is nice. I kind of wish that some of these were clickable though. It'd be nice to just jump like straight to, oh yeah, the sunburst is what I need, and so I'd be able to jump straight to that. I'm assuming this is in a similar layout. I don't want to go through everything because I'm assuming that you've got like similar layouts to everything on the site. Nice to have a real live view. I think I saw a gallery somewhere, didn't I? Because a gallery is nice, especially for someone like me who likes to see it in action, because it's sometimes hard for me to imagine. Like, I've seen this on houses before, but sometimes it's hard for me to imagine. So, I guess for the most part, I can't do too much with this analysis before the new site is live. But I do think that, your URLs need to be worked on a little bit to make them prettier. You don't need pages in there. I'm not sure you need door trim after door window trim. Or in some cases, this will compactify, if that can be a word for a moment. So once you're into a sub category, door window trim can go away, and then door trim can be the URL section, and then pediments, and then acorn, and then I don't know that you need the index. You don't need the index HTML. So Simplifying your URLs is good for Google. I don't see an easy way to get to the gallery. I thought I saw a gallery page somewhere. Copyright here goes at the bottom, so that should be in the new design as well. Payment methods, it's its own page. I like that you have your social media. Here, I think that you could have it at the top of this new design. Looks like there's some content missing here. I'm assuming that you either actually don't have anything to offer right now for the special offers, in which case that should say that, or it's something broke and you're waiting for the new design, which isn't necessarily the best way to go, but I understand it. Finally, something I noticed, tweet is kind of like floating, so a lot of this is, it's hard for me to focus on the user experience when I know that everything's about to change. So gallery could be interesting because if you're putting pictures in, you're also putting descriptions in, and so you're changing the website. That's good for Google. Google loves descriptions of things. Google likes seeing pictures because it knows that its customers like to see imagery. I think you have some more opportunities with social media, especially with Pinterest. Some opportunities to lay out the menu in a little bit of a better way, and to lay out the purchase experience in a better way. BigCommerce tends to do that right off the bat, and so I'm hoping that will just kind of come through, and then you'll be focusing on some tweaks. So let's focus instead on a secondary analysis once the website is live, which sounds like it's a little ways out yet. But we'll do a secondary website analysis and take a look at opportunities for that new design with regards to user experience and SEO, because at that point I'll actually know if things were missed. All right, well, have a wonderful day, and this was a free website analysis from Green Cup Design.